I am Shayla, and this is the February art wrap-up. A little bit late because I got hecka sick at the end of February. So, the beginning of March, end of February art wrap-up. I'm going to start with the fact that I did have a week of slowness that was more of a fun one that was mostly just me going to an art show. I went on up to Provo, Utah, where they had the Life, the Universe, and Everything Symposium, which was delightfully fun. I brought some of my prints to that. I still have some left over, so I'll be putting those up probably on either Shayla Says Yay or see if they can go up on Death World Studio. But either way, I have some leftover prints, and let's start on why I'm doing this. Hi, I'm Shayla. If you've never seen me before, I am doing an art challenge this year where I'm trying to get 2,000 paintings done this year, and it's going all right so far. I am including ones that I drew out and finally got around to finishing painting this year. For example, the beginning of February is where these lovelies came from. These guys, I had the underpaintings done, essentially as markers. Yeah, dragons. And I got them painted fully the first week of February. And also for that second week of February where I went to LTE, I got them hangable. As you can see, you've got the date they were finished, how the dragons look. This one is probably still my favorite of all of them. Look at that. It's adorable. But let's get into what I was able to do through February. Last month I did an entire CMYK thing, and I did that again this month. I've been having a lot of fun playing with those colors. I've actually had to refill them. Got another round of them, and that includes, instead of just getting, there's not really a good cyan in the size I want, so I've been getting this light blue as well as this aqua green, and either mixing them to make a really decent cyan, or using one or the other and you just get a slightly different combo when you're mixing everything together. And let us begin with the beginning. I finally got this painting finished. It's a wood block that I've been working on a while to get ready for painting. It was really fun to put together. I actually got this as a cast off from Lowe's, I think, and then did paint layers to keep it nice and solid so no water's getting in there, and then just this first week of February got that all painted with some metallic paints to get a really cool abstract sky. I'm actually really happy with how that one came out. Then I began with my experiments on series. So for example, I've got my coffee stain series that was really fun. This is probably, it was this, those, and these the first week approximately. This might have counted. Yeah, but anyway, the coffee stain series, essentially I took the idea of using circles upon circles and just built out an entire little series so that if someone wanted to, you could put a couple of up on the wall, something great for the kitchen. That was my thought process. And then when I ran out of circles, I just decided to experiment and went tap, tap, tap. So this one doesn't quite fit the whole series, but uses the same color scheme. Week 1. All right, week 2, I got, like I said, not as much done. Mostly because I was at LTUE. I brought these guys to LTUE as well as some of my other pieces. I've actually got a picture of that up on Patreon. Is that free to see? I don't remember. I can make it free to see. If it's not, I'll put it up in a comment somewhere, since I have the display picture of what the display looked like. And then, yeah, brought some prints, brought my dragon in the gold, which is still one of my favorite pieces that I've done. got my Pity the Pack Goblin came with me, as did the Beach Dragon, and the Tank and the Healer party adventure, as well as Tank and the Healer, just the healing cave, which was also one of those ones that I had a lot of fun when I was drawing it. That one, the original, is actually a pastel drawing, which it was incredibly fun to play with. That was done a while back. And then I brought a couple prints of just the sketch I did of a D20 and my temple dog, who is heavily based off of the lore around Tibetan Mastiffs, specifically. You know, one of these days I'm going to need to make an actual video about the beef going down on the temple dog area of Wikipedia, because it's really fascinating, and there's a lot of temple dog versus Chinese guardian lion versus whatever, and trying to make them all one even when it's clearly different cultural things. I'll make its own video. Others that I brought, prints of my fire drake, prints of Da Vinci Dragon, which is based on an actual drawing by Da Vinci. I just made it fluffier. And my Athena drawing, who is happy. And I also have a print version of her that I didn't take with, that I digitally colored, which has a lot of fun stuff with that one too. And then I brought prints of my Chupacabra drawing and of my ice giant. I love my ice giant. Look at him. Look how happy he is about the snow. I'm happy with that one. And then finally, I brought Mama Kieran with her baby, which this one, the original of this one is a watercolor, but... And then one of the only ones that I have that is colored pencil, which is a short vacation where someone is looking in the coral, and that is a Dunkleost, which is, you know, extinct. The vacation was short. And finally, this was my Valentine's one that I was hoping would sell a little bit better than it did, but what you gonna do when you take a heart to a science fiction and fantasy convention? I'm okay with it. I have some extras though if anyone wants to look at those. So again, I will try and put some of those up. Now, week 3, when I actually did stuff again. Let's get into it. These are week 3 and those are week 4. Okay, fabulous. First I had a CMY play with that is, I decided to do some stamping, not with actual stamps so much as I drew some full lines in my CMY. You know, it's really kind of, maybe I shouldn't call it CMY when it's not cyan magenta yellow, it's more like teal blue magenta yellow, but I'm still going to be calling this CMY because this is my base, so just know when I say CMY I am still referencing these guys. But I built out the lines and colors, kind of making a almost planetary vibe was the goal. And then I took that and I smashed it against others. So I have some very similar but subtly different pieces for that series. Some of them are backwards because when you smash something, sometimes it's on opposite sides. See where the blue's on the opposite side. But that one went really well. And then I have one that ended up looking a little funkier than the others, so I ended up smashing it a little diagonally, so it's got a little more color on it than the others, which are a lot more clean. Going with that same idea, I was like, oh, okay, yeah, no, I can do this. What's another fun thing I could print? So I tried some different lines, and this time I made squiggles, zigzags, curlicue, and then close to a straight line as I could at the time, with, again, those same 4 colors in my, if it's not CMY, YMTB. Anyway, the quarter lines, I guess. But I built out some of these as well, and again, did the same thing, did some transfers. I got a couple cool little ones that's got like a couple little pieces versus different sizes because of how much paint was on each versus where things were overlapping, and so that ended up being a really fun little series to put together. And then I did, to wrap up the week, I did a like donut scrunchy little one and a polka dot. Wait a second, polka dot was first. Polka dot was on Monday. We're going backwards apparently. But these guys are my little scrunchies. This was, these three are actually, I believe, the first ones that I did of the print where I'm squashing them together. And went, oh yeah, no, I could do more with this. You can actually see this is the one that had the paint on it because it's a lot thicker. And then this one was second, and you can see that this one's a little thinner. So I used a lot less paint on my initial one on this one when doing the initial experiment before moving on to the other two I just showed. And the very first one that I did this third week was the polka dots, which is an entire series that is built around the idea that I had I had a little circle tool that I was going into the paint with and then plopping down, and that was incredibly fun to do. And because of the mixing of the CMY elements, where did my villagers go? There they are. Okay. I noticed they went off in the background. That meant that I got some squishing around, so you can see some of the yellow actually starting to turn green because I did the yellow after the blue. I thought it ended up really cool. So that is week 3. Week 4. Got the coffee spoons, got the tap taps, and there's week 4. Okay. Now week 4 had a couple interesting things that I did. One of them was a different, another version of the, I'm just gonna keep calling it stamping, even though that's not quite the right word. It's close enough because BAP. This one is my dragon series, which was I took the paint and I did the loose outline of wings and a dragon head and then filled it in with more color, and then went, okay, if I take this with its loose dragoning and then I continue stamping that, what will the differences be on that one? So I ended up with quite a few on this guy. I was actually really happy. I used a lot of paint on my initial run on that one. You can see where the paint is a little bit thinner in this one. You can actually see the dragon form a lot easier where the paint was thinner as opposed to one of the base ones. You can see this is where you can see how thick some of the paint started off at. But yeah, dragoning wings. Versus you get some really cool patterns when the paint is a little bit lighter. And then ones where you've got the texture where it's a little bit thicker. I think that's really cool because you can actually see various different styles based on how much paint there was when the initial transfer for each goes down. I made a lot of these. Again, I used a lot of paint on that one and I had a lot of fun with that one. So I am all full up on fabulous dragonings for this series, and I am all too happy about how they came out. That is first part of week 4, and then oh crap, flip some of these guys around. There we go. All right, and then I have, this one evolved kind of from the idea of the polka dot CMY, I should stop saying K, that's the cyan, magenta, yellow, black. It's just CMY. And even then, again, teal and blue. Whatever. With the idea of that, I built out somewhere I decided that I was just going to take, oh, it's storming. Excellent. Where I was just going to take and make some really cool abstractions and play with that. And I did a little bit of dabbing and my camera died. So we're just gonna speed through this because I have 6 minutes left on my camera roll. So, yay, we have some again, CMY abstractions using that green. You've got some areas that turned into purple because, lo and behold, when you put red and magenta and cyan together, you get purple, because that's how it... There we go. And I have multiple different types of those and how they go together, and I love the different areas and how all of them came out incredibly differently. I still think that that is incredibly fun to do, and I was able to get multiple of this series done, and honestly I think they came out really cool. And then my final one was I used similar things on top of one of the coffee stain ones that I thought was failed and turned it into something actually really cool. So happy February at the beginning of March. That is my wrap up for today. I should probably get an actual number count of how far I have to 2,000. I will work on that. All right, stay sentient, folks, and I hope you enjoyed and are having fun with my art challenge. I'm going to be trying to put up some smaller videos as well, so keep a lookout for that, and give me a hi in the comments. I'll be all too happy to see from you. All right, yay, later guys.